Hello, I'm FTX Toycat, and have you ever been below the infinite layer of bedrock, which is at the bottom of every Minecraft world? The answer to that question is probably a no, unless you've used glitches or you've been in creative mode, but there are a few specific circumstances where you can get down here and where you can learn things like, for instance, there is a very floor of the world at -40 on the y-axis. You can learn a lot of weird things if you get below bedrock, and although it's still not advised, even when you can do it in survival, today I wanted to talk about ways you can get below there, because before we've shown off a weird thing where an igloo generated a couple of blocks below the bedrock, gave you a ladder to get outside of your Minecraft world, but today I have something even more impressive, because today I have a seed where not just 1, 2, 3 or 4 blocks break through the bedrock, but instead we have a whole host of different blocks that, as you can see, have generated over bedrock, which means it's possible to get through these blocks and go straight down here to the void in survival. It's an interesting, very impressive thing, because it is super rare, and it's an interesting quirk of the Bedrock engine that lots of bedrock features will generate through bedrock, which I know is a weird thing to say, bedrock generating through bedrock, but it is a real fact that I can explain in today's video after I show you that you really can get down here in survival pretty darn fast too. As you'll see when you type in this seed right here, it's on screen. I'm going to draw extra attention to it because every now and then someone says, "Oh, Toycat, where was the seed?" It was right there. If you type it in, you'll spawn right here in a pretty nice little area. I mean, it's not the perfect spawn, but it's great in a lot of ways. I mean, you have a big plains biome, which gives you food, it gives you trees, gives you all the normal stuff you want. You have a cave, that's wonderful. But what you're here for today is the opportunity to break through bedrock. So what you want to do if you want to break through that is you want to head in this direction right over here. You want to head that way, across this river, across this pretty big desert, I'll admit, past even this desert temple, around this lovely desert lake. I mean, it's a lovely structure to see, you can't deny that. Even got some slightly tinted sugarcane and a desert well, because water is so rare here, as we all know. Until finally you find this beauty of a biome. Seriously, look at the natural beauty here. We're not here for it right now, but I do want to point out that this is such a great seed, not just because of what you find there, and not just because of being able to get below bedrock, but also because of this ravine right here, which we can jump straight into. It's in a slime chunk, which is both an upside and a downside, depending on your point of view, I guess. But yeah, once you go through this, once you go past this, very interesting thing, you'll find that there is this right here. It is a ruin portal, which, as you can see, existed midway through a ravine. A ruin portal generated so low down in Minecraft, lower than it's normally meant to, and then it should generate, but yet it did manage to generate so low, and because it's in a ravine, it's very easy to find. And if we can get below here, which we're gonna have to make ourselves a pickaxe to do. I could use a wood one, but I'm more of a stone guy. Tell me if you disagree. And yeah, then what we can do is we can dig just to the side around here, because obviously all of the lava that was meant to be part of this ruin portal has turned into obsidian. It's a whole mess to get down there, especially early game in survival, but you can end up digging around this area that looks like you're in a stronghold. It looks like a very weird, bizarre thing, and it is very dangerous because it's filled with lava, because it is a ruin portal that generates this low down. But if you can dig down and if you can navigate this place effectively, and you should be able to, avoiding the lava, of course, wherever you can, but if you can dig through this place, and if you can take advantage of all the light sources you're getting, something you'll notice is that you'll be able to dig down suspiciously low. Places where there should be bedrock instead have netherrack down here instead, as you can see, and as long as we can get past that, which you better believe we can, you'll find that all of the bedrock down here has been replaced suspiciously with iron bars, with netherrack, with magma blocks in some places, and if we follow these blocks down, you'll see how they literally will take you out of the world. This means that if we want to, and for the sake of the video, I guess we do, we can go outside of the Minecraft world and we can fall into the void, giving us this beautiful "you died" screen. That's right, we can look at the void, we can vanish our stuff into nothingness, no one can come get it, because it's at the bottom of the world, in a place that no one else even expects to exist. So yeah, let's come back here in creative now. Let's show you more of what this actually is, because again, it's a very interesting Minecraft structure that would normally be kind of a hazard, and indeed, in normal survival, if you were just loading up the seed normally, and you dug down and you wondered like, oh, what's there? You'd have been shocked, you'd have been floored to find this, but it's a very real thing, and it's a real thing in such a way that, if we just throw that back, it's a real thing in such a way that, as you can see, it's not just one block down to bedrock, it's multiple ones of them, and because lava can come down here, because even water, if you dig up high enough, can come down here, you can have this very interesting effect where lava stops pouring, not because it runs out of spaces to pour into, but because it runs out of the world in which it is allowed to. This is where the bottom of blocks can be, which leads to an interesting thing where, again, lava exists like this. You could use it to swim if you wanted to. You could even like kind of swim half in the void, half out. Very interesting, very bizarre. You can even, if you really want to, this is not really recommended, but but you know what? Who is any of this recommended? I would argue no. Something you can do if you really want to is you can of course put on some wings. You can put on the best armor that you can find, and you can spend a few minutes flying around in survival before the inevitable pain gets you. It's not a good idea, but you can theoretically, if you want to risk everything in your life, go down there in survival. So yeah, this is in reality not a very practical Minecraft seed. I think it goes without saying, but if it's not a practical Minecraft seed, what exactly happened here, and why did Minecraft expose such a big risk? And the simple answer is just explained by how any of this happened, because Minecraft has an order in which the world generates, and generally speaking, the majority of the world, i.e. the caves, the blocks, the stone, the trees, etc., they all generate first. Trees are actually interestingly counted as structures, so they're like second after that, but the first thing that generates is the natural world, including all of the blocks, and interestingly enough, including all of the bedrock, which means that if we dig down here, as you can see, all of this bedrock will generate first, and then other structures will generate on top of it. And usually this isn't a big deal, because all of those structures have a height limit put in the code, but for some reason, when 1.16 came out, they forgot to put a height limit onto the ruin portal. They forgot to limit where it could generate, which means that in some cases, it can generate as low as about Y6 or 7, which means if it generates at these heights, because bear in mind, this is a full ruin portal down here. This is the ceiling we're seeing at about Y10. This means that the blocks down here, there is a full portal with like even a chest and stuff you can gather if you want to. I'll show you what it looks like with all of the lava replaced with air, just so you can get a real feel for what's going down here without having obsidian block up your view. But if you actually look around here, you can see that like, oh yeah, there is a real structure, even including a real chest, sometimes going to be a pretty valuable one. There is a real opportunity to make a nether portal, as you're going to be able to see up here. In fact, it's one of the easiest nether portals you can make in Minecraft because of the way that it all generates, very interestingly to me. Also, this is a really big area down here that is covered in lava, huh? Anyway, as you can see, this is a ruin portal that just generated like any other, except when this ruin portal tried to generate some of its blocks, like say the netherrack and the magma, there was already a bedrock block in its place. However, Minecraft doesn't check what block it's replacing, it just does it. I mean, whether it's an air block, which is most of the time when Minecraft's making a structure, whether it's going to be a stone block, which is also going to be common with a structure like this, or whether it's anything else, it just replaces the block with whatever it needs to make its gold block, its magma, its netherrack, its lava, its iron bars, its chest, and then in some cases, if that happens to be bedrock, it happens to be bedrock, and you get this very rare circumstance. We only have one other seed in existence that we know of that actually does have a hole through the bedrock, and although there are likely more that exist that haven't been found, it is a very rare thing, and especially even the seeds where it does exist, it's going to be hard to find, naturally speaking, and so it's very wacky in my opinion that this happened to do that, and it does it because of the simple layer explanation of what came first. What came first was the natural world generation, then the ravine comes second, and then third comes the ruin portal. It's being able to take advantage of the ravine, ruining lots of the natural world generation, filling it with lava, and then the portal replaced a lot of that lava, and also replaced the bedrock with some other stuff. You can see here some of the blocks that weren't replaced and therefore are kind of part of it, are like golder and whatnot. But yeah, this is how Minecraft structures work. It's the same, again, it looks super destructive here, but it's the same thing that can describe exactly why this desert temple over here, you know, there's, by the way, it's not just the one desert temple on the seed. There's a lot. It's a big desert. There's lots of structures. There's even a desert well, but that's exciting. Look at this desert well right here. You can see, interestingly enough, that it's generated right here on the ground, and that where there should be sand is actually, you know, again, you can see this was clearly meant to be a mountain, but the sand generated right here, and places where there should be sand, there's sandstone from the temple, because the sand hill generated first, and then on top of that sand generated a desert temple. Interestingly enough, actually, this kind of goes the other way sometimes too with certain Minecraft structures. So this is why, for instance, the desert temple is sometimes very tall. In this case, it's only 2 blocks, but the desert temple structure ends there. It just has it programmed in the code not to have an air gap underneath the structure, so it fills it with sandstone. And yeah, that's why desert temples always look different. Sometimes they're covered in sand because those sand blocks will remain there even when the sand blocks below them are replaced. And that's why, again, very weird things can happen. But let's focus on this seed and also the thing that I learned from this seed, because I'll be honest with you, something I didn't know until just now. I knew bedrock ravines were way different to Java ravines, and I knew they could go way lower than, and they did frequently go lower than Java ravines did. But after replacing all of the lava at the bottom of this with air, what I found was that, as you can see, at the bottom of a ravine, there is just Bedrock. If you can remove all of this lava, which is admittedly such a big challenge in survival that it's a lot harder than if it was filled with stone, but in theory, at the very least, there is nothing, again, if you're just willing to use commands right here, you can kind of make these ravines that go all the way down to the depth of the thing itself. This is why I think ravines always are filled with lava or with water, because they go all the way down to bedrock, and then they just fill them with lava to make this look less unappealing. But personally, I love the way this looks, especially with the water still flowing onto there. But like, I love the weird, wacky look of this all, and I'd love to know if you agree with that. Do you think these going all the way down to, because again, this is what a cave does, but this is what a ravine does, goes straight the way down to bedrock in a very weird, wacky sense, but it will never break bedrock because it's programmed not to. It goes down to the bedrock, that's where it stops. But the ruin portal, they never predicted this circumstance, and therefore that is why, interestingly enough, you can see that there is blocks of it being replaced. So yeah, interesting stuff. Maybe just to me, maybe to all of you too, but that's why I like sharing Seed Sunday, the weird stuff like this that was spanned by an anonymous person. But this isn't where Seed Sunday ends, because I actually recommend this seed not just for the weird bedrock breaking thing, which is, again, something you can have on very few worlds. Maybe you want to have it on your own world, I would recommend. I think this biome view is absolutely beautiful, and the reason that it's beautiful, I mean, maybe you agree, maybe you don't, maybe this is just my looking at so many hundreds of seeds, but the reason this seed looks so great is because it uses the Savannah M biome, the kind of rare one that has this much nicer green grass. It still has all the benefits of a Savannah biome, so it doesn't rain here, you still get mob spawning, but also, as you can see, you get beautiful green grass, and you get this beautiful terrain as well. This is a very rare biome within Minecraft, or at least it's rarer than normal savannas, and yeah, being able to take advantage of that is real nice, and being able to take advantage of it by making a house in a very weird, wacky place on, say, the top of this mountain, while still having a view of that ravine, that same ravine that will give you direct access to the void if you want it. You could maybe build that into your house or something. Like, if you really wanted to, you could, like obviously have like a trapdoor that leads you out of the world. There's a lot of things you can only do on this seed in survival that you can't do otherwise. Obviously, if you're willing to cheat and use creative and do whatever, you know what? You can do anything on any world. You can break bedrock everywhere. But if you like the pure survival format, which I know a lot of the subscribers to my channel, myself included, I'm not actually subscribed to my own channel. YouTube forbids you from subscribing to your own channel, and I think that's BS personally, but this Seed Sunday is focused on the fact that this is a pretty cool seed otherwise. I like the area where this happened, and that's not usually the case. Usually it's like, oh yeah, you go somewhere niche and special and it's just kind of a thing. In this case, you get a pretty nice area for, to start a life on, and the only downside to doing so, in my opinion, is that it's like 700 blocks away from spawn, but maybe you like that. Maybe you think having that access to the void, having a pretty decent biome setup, not the best in the world, but very good, you know, top 5-10%. Maybe you think that's worthwhile, but that is what you get to choose, because all I get to choose is to tell you to subscribe to my channel and to turn on those notifications and whatever else YouTubers say at the end of their videos, because you know what? I hope you all enjoyed it, because I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.